last note, Ryan Boatwright was actually undrafted, was able to catch on with the Nets. He's averaged 14 points per game in 20 minutes in his summer league action, and I just like his game. I like the little guards. Well, I will say I like the college guards that stand out at the collegiate level. I know Kimba's one guy that's had some moderate success. Napier, Shabazz, his former backcourt mate, has done some different things in the summer league. I thought his numbers. Didn't think that Shabazz was demonstrating that he's going to be a guy down there in Miami, but then I saw his end numbers that he still could be in the running to be a significant player with that organization. But anyway, I was just happy to see Boatwright. Again, he's that 6 feet, 6'1" guy. I don't know what he can do long term in the league, but it's good to see the college guy continue doing it at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, to solidify your point on the possibility of Napier, after his outings, that's when all the Mario Chalmers rumors started about them trading him.
Okay.
So, I mean, there might be some smoke to that. A guy that I had liked, along with Porzingis and Seth, Kyle Anderson, second-year guy for the Spurs.
For the Spurs.
Yeah, we didn't see him at all last year, really. Came out 19 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 40% from the field, and just looks like he's ready to play. Looks like he's ready to contribute.
I'm not too familiar. What college did he come out of?
That's a great question. UCLA.
Oh, you know what, man? UCLA is one of those programs over the last several years, man. They have a lot of kids. They don't stay long, and they're getting into the league just like Shabazz or Muhammad that's with Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Zach Levine, 11. You know, these guys, they're not spending a lot of time there, and they're coming in, so quickly. Whereas Calipari's having the one and dones, and he's actually having deep runs with them. We're just not seeing much of UCLA's kids, so that's great. I mean, that's a great story. I have to keep an eye on Anderson. I actually was getting him confused with the other Anderson for the Mavericks, another team in Texas, but the Justin Anderson.
Yeah.
I think he could be another steal in this draft. As far as a contributor on the main team, because he's not going to be expected to be a team leader, but he seemed to come out of that. Virginia's kind of in the mold of Michigan State, where he's making complete players.
Yeah.
And I just feel like Justin Anderson really might be a guy that we turn around and he's a 12, 13, 14 point guy. In these first couple of years where it's not expected.
Yeah.
That's my take on that. Any last thoughts on this? I will say I didn't get to see a lot of Montrezl Harrell for Houston, but I'm interested to see what he does because he's a big energy guy. He did show that he can shoot the mid-range jump shot a little in college, and he's just a rabid competitor, in my opinion. I don't know how that translates in the NBA. And I just really found out where he really landed. So I'm interested in seeing him. Quickly, Cauley-Stein showed a little bit more offense than we expected. So that's an interesting story to watch there. And it's kind of quieted down on whatever was going to happen between Cousins and George Karl.
Look,
so
you can't trade DeMarcus Cousins. All right, if you're the Kings, he's all you got going for you right now.
Everything.
And if I'm Vlade Divac, and I can't remember the owner's name, and I'd mess it up if I tried to pronounce
Remedies
it.
or Remedian or something.
Vivek or whatever. Look, I know you just signed George Karl to a multi-year deal. He keep causing waves for my star player. I'm getting another coach. Boogie is a double-double guy. every night he gets on the court. Now, he doesn't play the best defense, but that's what you drafted Willie Cauley-Stein for.
Exactly. That's what his role is.
Like he's going to take away some of that responsibility. You shouldn't have problems with the paint. The glass should be like, you should pull down boards. You should have protection now because Boogie's not a big shot blocker. But you got to make that work. And I guess that's my question also, like with that hire, George Karl is known for run and gun.
Right.
How does DeMarcus Cousins fit into that? Like when you're making that hire, don't you assess your personnel?
That was a bad move by that organization, in my opinion. And actually, the coach that was terminated, he'd actually showed some promise in turning the team around.
Yeah.
And
Malone,
right. So I thought that was one of those poorer front office decisions that, I think they dropped the ball there. Frankly.
I think they called themselves going for the flashy name.
Exactly.
They're trying to revitalize that team and revive the sense of the Sacramento Kings. They want to get it. It's always been a very fan friendly. They've got a great crowd out there. I used to live in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
And so that was actually one of the first games I went to was in Arco. And look, it's never gonna be Vlade, Chris Webber, Jay Will. Those days are over. But you just need to focus on what you got now. Just bring this team up as an up and comer with a star. Who he may be a little moody, but the guy goes out there and gets it done.
That's a knock. It's easy to have this narrative going on when you have a player that has the behavioral issues and quirks that Boogie has exhibited. He's kind of like a Des Bryant type guy.
Absolutely.
You never know when something is going to happen, and the coach just has to worry about the calls in the middle of the night. But I think you can't trade him. I'm glad that they worked it out as far as we know, and it looks like the Kings will be coming back. Again, it's the Pay Me No Mind show with your host Wood. I'm on here with my special guest G. It's been a great conversation. I appreciate you coming on tonight on short notice.
Great time.
I know we would have liked to kick around more stats and more and be more, spot on with all of our stuff. But, we have a little fun in this world. And like I said, I hope you come back on as a future contributor on various things. Any last thoughts on any sports things, man? The beer world, anything? TV land?
Man, I'm ready for the NBA season to kick. I'm hopeful for our Pistons this year.
Yes, I am.
I admittedly am shaky on this whole SVG trying to make us Orlando from 05, 06. I just don't know that Drummond will ever be what Dwight Howard used to be. I just don't know that he's got that ability within him. He's great. He's a great energy guy. He's a great rebounder. I just don't know that you can build an offense around him. I
don't see it happening. We got about 7 minutes left. I'm gonna try to keep this at 90 minutes.
Okay.
With the Pistons, Reggie Jackson or Brandon Jennings? Because we gotta work that out.
So Brandon is on the last year of a 7.5 deal, coming off of a ruptured Achilles tendon. We got him, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Jackson, and a week ago we traded for Steve Blake.
Right. Former Terp.
Right. I think Jennings gets moved, man. And I like him. I like Brandon Jennings. I didn't before he was a Piston.
I agree.
But last year, particularly right before he got hurt,
right,
something clicked for him.
Right.
and he seemed under control. He seemed not be forcing shots, which was his big thing. He was a terrible shot selector.
Exactly.
And I think he was averaging like 8.5, 9 assists a game
Yeah.
at the time. Look, I'm not saying that I don't like Reggie Jackson. I think that he was great for that stint when Westbrook was out, when he was with OKC.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think he turned the ball over a lot. And I think his outside jumper is iffy. And I know that there's a knock because we paid him so much money. The market dictates what guys get. All right? So
True statement.
And so for everybody that's like, because there's a lot of talk about that, like, why would you give, like, he's been the poster child for overpaying a quote-unquote average player. Well, look, this is the reality of the situation. Goran Dragic and Brandon Knight, former Piston, were the other 2 point guards in the market. All right? Goran got 82 or 85.
I'm about to say, yeah.
He got 85.
Right.
And Brandon Knight took 80. All right.
Right.
So you split the difference, you get Reggie Jackson. All right. And that's where he got paid. And I mean, he's definitely not as good as a Goran Dragic, but I do think he's probably better than Brandon Knight. So I don't hate them giving him the money.
I think that's just a function of like I said earlier, man. We're in that Midwest. You're not gonna, and I don't know if you heard my show where I was talking about we're not even on the tour. When the free agents come out, we're not even on the tour for any. Aldridge, he had 7 teams he visited this year. Not one of them was DET. He never took a trip to the Pistons.
Was never out.
When Carmelo was flirting around, kicking the tires in a couple of different places, he never came to the Motor City. So I just feel like it's just the fact that, hey, this is probably the best guy that we can get. I did like his performance in the absence of Westbrook. I'm not sure what it leads to. Ultimately, he does have a little bit more size than Jennings.
Yeah. I mean, he does. He looks for the contact more. Jennings kind of shies away in the paint. Yeah, man. And not to cut you off there, but to reiterate what you were saying with Greg Monroe, I think if they didn't bring in Van Gundy and just make this huge shift in culture, maybe we keep him. Like if we'd have featured him,
right,
used him more like we had the first few years. Because Monroe, I was mad like you. Like, probably our best offensive option.
Right.
Probably third best playmaker on the team.
Right.
And then just, look, if we weren't going to make any efforts to sign him, if it was obvious that he wanted to leave, trade him. Get something. Get a trade exception. Get a second round pick. Something. Like, just letting him walk.
That like I said, that's life, for the Pistons. And then the last thing I'll say on it, as we get near this, to wrap this up, we never get that, ever since the Dwayne Wade draft, LeBron draft, we don't get that, regardless of what our record is, we don't get that top 3 pick. We're usually in that, 6 through 12 slot.
Yeah.
And it gets harder to get you a player right there. Last thing I will say is that, it was kind of unfortunate that Draymond had the success that he had, and that took us out of being able to try to bring that brother home.
He was definitely going after. He had said he was wanting to come home.
Exactly. So, like I said, I think Stanley Johnson could usher the organization into this current generation of NBA ball, and we need to have the right pieces around him. But I'm okay.
Yeah, and breaking news as we're talking about this. We kind of talked about this a little bit.